feels like the temperature dropped significantly today for whatever reason. And with that in mind, what's going on today? It's kind of interesting reading this one, where apparently it talked about drones being used in war again. Although this one's kind of interesting, they're kind of implying the parts that were used are normally used for recreational purposes. This one says, suspected Ukrainian explosive sea drone made from recreational watercraft parts. A small unmanned watercraft of unknown origin washed up on the Black Sea on the shore of Crimea near Russia's naval base in Sevastopol last month. Pictures posted on Russian social media show what appears to be a small novel surface drone made from commercial watercraft parts laden with explosives. And ultimately it says, analysis of the photos of the vessel reveals that it is propelled by a recreational water jet. The water jet has been specifically identified as closely matching a Sea-Doo design down to the no-step sticker on the housing. The lines of the thrust reverser show that it is a relatively recent model, possibly a GTX or Fish Pro model, based on the images. I have no clue about this stuff personally, but apparently here it says Sea-Doo is a Canadian manufacturer of personal watercraft. The company sells its products worldwide, aimed mostly at the civilian market. This means that a Sea-Doo would be relatively easy to source. I'd be wondering too, is it really that shocking that things use quote recreational parts? I would imagine a lot of materials and equipment share the same, I guess, sources of materials and tools. And as well, since they're using quote recreational parts, are they going to start banning all recreational, I don't know, jet ski boats and all that because they could be used as a weapon? But in terms of weaponized drones, that Switchblade drone made a name for itself, I guess, being used to essentially take out targets by slicing them. And I guess here they're going to ramp up more production. It says Switchblade kamikaze drone production to ramp up following Ukraine use. AeroVironment, the maker of the Switchblade loitering munition Ukraine has used against Russia in recent months, is planning to ramp up production of the heavier duty version. Ukraine has had repeated battlefield successes with the Switchblade 300 since the United States shipped it 400 of the lighter weight loitering munition earlier this year. Charlie Dean, AeroVironment's Vice President of Sales and Business Development, said in an interview with Defense News at the Association of the U.S. Army's conference on Monday. They all make this sound like a regular product unveil, like if you're buying, let's just say, a consumer drone or something like that, or just say someone buying a new electronic device for personal use. And with a larger, more powerful Switchblade 600 on its way to Ukraine, Dean said the first batch of 10 would likely be in the country in the next few weeks, and growing visibility and interest in the weapon, AeroVironment is making preparations to produce more. And according to this, it says they can produce more than 2,000 Switchblade 600 systems annually within a few months. He said the company hopes to roughly triple that to about 6,000. It's kind of interesting to think about, where you hope you can produce more. Wouldn't that imply you hope the war continues per se? Like you want more people to use this? That's a little unfortunate, but it sounds so commercialized again, as if it's kind of a regular product the consumer uses. I'm thinking overall you'd want to say, hey, I hope people don't have to use this anymore. That's a little unfortunate. And I have no idea why this was trending today. Apparently there was a hashtag saying Pfizer lied, people died. What's going on here? I was just looking at everything. Apparently it has to do with this video. It seems like it had something to do with some kind of European Parliament or something like that, where they were questioning the director of Pfizer in terms of, I guess, the research and stuff they've done with their vaccines. And it says here, in COVID hearing, Pfizer director admits vaccine was never tested on preventing transmission, saying, quote, get vaccinated for others was always a lie. The only purpose of the COVID passport forcing people to get vaccinated, the world needs to know. And basically there's this video of it. It was a little confusing actually. I guess my first thought is, I think it's universally agreed upon so far, unless someone wants to say otherwise from everything I read, where virtually everyone's saying regardless if you got vaccinated, you can still get it, you can still spread it. Whereas earlier on, I remember people saying, nope, you get it 100% or whatever, like you can't spread it and so forth. But here, it doesn't sound like when they answered the question, they specifically said we never tested it, whether or not it was transmissible still. Because when they answered it, it seemed like the person said something along the lines of they didn't know if it's here about stopping immunization before it entered the market. Isn't that a different wording? Immunization versus, I guess, whether or not it stops the spread or transmission. I don't know, you can see the video here is a little confusing, but what would you get out of this?
You don't get vaccinated just for yourself, but also for others. You do it for all of society. That's what I said. Today, this turned out to be complete nonsense. In a COVID hearing in the European Parliament, one of the Pfizer directors just admitted to me, at the time of introduction, the vaccine had never been tested on stopping the transmission of the virus. This removes the entire legal basis for the COVID passport. And I will speak in English so there are no misunderstandings. Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market.
This is scandalous. Millions of people worldwide felt forced to get vaccinated because of the myth that you do it for others. Now this turned out to be a cheap lie. This should be exposed.
Regardless, I guess, what I'm most fascinated about, as I mentioned before, is how will people react once all the facts and so forth come out, because a lot of people treat this topic not as a science one, but it's more like a religion, where people are so, I guess, insistent it must be this way or that way, regardless of certain facts, that they're willing to, I don't know, die with that type of belief. So I wonder if they're going to be kind of like, remember that lady that says, oh, this drone must be spying on me when I'm naked, and it ended up not being the case. It was a power company drone, and she still was insistent, oh, if that drone comes, nope, for sure it was looking at me, I'm going to throw whatever, something at it. So it makes me wonder if that will be the case here, because ultimately, again, when everything's out, and depending on what, I guess, side or mindset you're on, if you're proven wrong, will you be willing to admit it? Or will you be insistent and still, say, believing a certain way or attacking certain people? Although with that said, if it turns out to be the case where they do clarify, for example, where they never did any studies on whether or not getting the vaccine would stop you from transmitting the virus to other people, yet they still mandated everything with the slogans and taglines as they mentioned, and how you're doing it to protect others, that is kind of really bad. I don't know how you can get out of this one, especially if you took the side where you basically wished upon people to go die and so forth if they, let's just say, didn't get the vaccine for whatever reason, because I think it's crystal clear now some people are having side effects. So I don't know how you can get out of this without some kind of major, I don't know, apology, compensation. I know there's some countries that are paying people like what, hundreds of thousands of dollars in injuries if they're unfortunately one of those people who had bad reactions to it. So I don't know, again, how people are going to backtrack from this, especially if you took such a hard stance again. All right, see you guys later.